Edmund Chun was a very successful man. He helped a lot of people in his lifetime. He shared his knowledge with all of us, and we're all better off for it. But that's not where his story starts off, at least for today. I'd like to draw you a map. It starts here in Honolulu, and it goes to Marshall Island, to Midway Point, to Bikini Island, and back to Honolulu. It shows China, Thailand, Australia, and Alaska. If you zoom into Hawaii, you see distinct neighborhoods like Ainahaina, Manoa, Makaha, and Waikiki. These are all places that my grandfather has been to, lived in, or experienced. The family man that we all love played various roles in our lives. Please take a moment to think about why we are all here today and how his life might have touched yours. Many of the parents here were raised by him as a father. He raised you and brought your cousins together to go on different excursions to the beach. He was able to positively affect that generation as well as the next generation of grandkids. He cherished his grandchildren and gave them beach and outdoor experiences that made them feel uniquely local. He babysat many of us as kids, taught us how to drive as adolescents, taught us how to buy houses as adults. As his youngest grandson, I've been the recipient of many of these stories. I've seen many people come by and the respect that they have showed him. I've seen the friends that have come by to just catch up or to ask for advice on anything from gambling to business to hunting and fishing. But Gungun was not always his name. 5 years ago, in high school, I had the chance to interview him for an English paper. I titled it "From Boy to Man in the Blink of an Eye." It was about the day the bombs dropped on Pearl Harbor, and the following events that launched his career in the military and beyond. From the interview, I learned that his family had been farmers, growing anything from taro to bean sprouts, things to get by and also to sell at the market. They raised chickens, but it was more economical to just sell them and sell the eggs than to eat them themselves. At the time, he was just a normal kid. He was a high school senior at McKinley. He was working at what is now Macy's in Ala Moana as a stock boy. He grew up with 5 brothers, and 4 ended up joining the military like he did, and 1 became a fire chief. 20 years before that time in his life, his parents had sailed to Hawaii. At that time when he was in high school, many of the roads in Manoa were dirt roads. It was a time where you could only buy 1 cabbage per family in Chinatown. He lived through the Great Depression, and so on that fateful day, he was on top of Tantalus, looking out at the horizon, and he saw the planes fly by, he saw the bombs drop, and he thought it was just a normal military exercise. It wasn't until he drove down that he heard what actually happened, and how Hawaii had been plunged into martial law. He found out that every 18 to 30-year-old man had to report to the barracks to help to clean and do various other duties. It was his job to stand on top of a lookout and to crank the siren if the planes came over again and the people would scatter. So after this time of martial law was over, instead of just waiting for the draft to come his way, he decided to go and enroll in the military himself. He became an aircraft mechanic and earned double pay flying to various islands to set up landing mats. He had great adventurous stories about the times where he caught and grilled many fish and lobsters, drank beers instead of potentially polluted water, and created lasting friendships. After an honorable discharge from the military, he went straight to Boston University to continue his studies. But unfortunately, after being away from home for so long, he felt incredibly homesick. He knew that Hawaii was his home, and he had to return. He enrolled into UH, graduated, and he eventually got into business. He built one of the first high-rises in Waikiki, Governor Claycorn. And although he had been building and selling houses his entire life, it was really this project that allowed him to free up his time and pretty much retire. He took the earnings from that and was able to write them off with his travel. He and Gloria went to see the world. They experienced hunting on the outer islands, gambling in Las Vegas, and fishing in Alaska. These passions live on now in his children and grandchildren, who frequent Las Vegas, where he taught how to hunt. He taught us how to eat fish, and all of us to be foodies and enjoy life. Soon after his passing, I felt called to a particularly scenic place on my school campus. I recognized a plant that I had been introduced to on the first day of my Hawaiian medicine class. I felt called to make something from a piece of that wood. Like my grandpa, a'ali'i is emblematic of plants indigenous to these islands that often had to survive and adapt to rough and inhospitable conditions. I'd like to leave you today with an olelo no eau, or Hawaiian saying, that applies to Edmund Chun and hopefully applies to all of us one day. He iki a'ali'i ku makani o pi'iholo, a small, wind-resisting a'ali'i bush of pi'iholo. It is said of a modest but powerful person. So this is that staff, and I hope that this wood, his memory, his spirit, can help to hold us all up, just like how Ed, Gung Gung, Uncle Shorty did in person.